Hello everyone, my name is Bill135Rect, and today I just wanted to go over kind of like a raw video format, probably stay unedited, of how I prepare for a. I'm just going to kind of go over, just kind of commentate my practice here, and just kind of go over how I decide a setup, and really how I familiarize myself with a car and a track. Um, so first off, and before I continue, if you're new to the UER, or if you found me through recommendations, I am a six-time UER champion and I've won over 30 races in this league. So I feel like I am somewhat qualified. Obviously, I'm not the best driver in the world, and I'm nowhere close to that. But I think my or the information I can give here quite valuable to maybe new to league racing, uh, somebody who's not familiar with setups or any of that sort. Maybe so. Before I ever loaded into this practice session, now I'm not actually practicing for a league race here or anything. This is a mock practice session, and my plan here is to really become competent and competitive within the next hour. Mostly because that's as long as this can last. But before I even loaded into this session, the first thing I did was I looked up a setup on YouTube. So I use a YouTuber called Freedoff. He has setups for basically every popular car and every track, really. Whatever car you drive, he's going to have a setup for it, unless it's the rider for some reason. I mean, I can't blame him. But I always use his setups as kind of a baseline, and we will adjust this as we go through the session. And attached to that video he has is a hot lap he's done, and I always make sure to watch that too. Get an idea as to what gears he's using, rough idea as to how he drives this setup around a track. Now, of course, me and Freedoff are two totally different people. We have different driving styles, so I'm sure I will be adjusting quite a lot of this as we go. But for right now, we'll leave it as intended. So, go out on track here. And on this first run, the important thing we should do is just do like 5 laps, right? And what we're going to do in this 5 laps is we're going to get a feel for the car, see where the balance is at, and kind of getting ideas to what setup changes we want to make or what direction we want to go, really. And also, we want to figure out those tire temps in the bottom right. Usually, you want those tire temps around 27. You want those tires to stay green as well. You want the temp green, and we also want the brakes, the little blue columns in the middle. We also want those to stay green throughout most of the lap. Of course, on the long straights, they're going to cool down no matter what, but we want it in the ballpark. So let's go out on track here. I'm just going to kind of talk through basically what I'm thinking as I'm driving around. We are at Silverstone. Um, I just wanted to drive this track again. It's never been one of my strongest tracks, and I feel like just doing more laps would be beneficial for me. So right away, I noticed that this car does feel pretty solid, actually. Quite happy with how that went through there on these still low pressure tires. Up to, I believe this corner is called Stowe. Brake to turn in the car here. Okay, that's third gear. Actually brake around this sign. Okay, car got kind of free there on the entry. Okay, it might have been hard to tell in the video. The car got very light there. which is quite interesting. I didn't expect that. Setup Freedolf has is running basically maximum downforce. Interesting problem we might have to solve. But overall, this doesn't feel bad at all. This corner kind of sucks. The apex is always in your blind spot. Wellington Street. This is a good outlap. This is giving me a lot of confidence, for sure. Tire pressures look a little bit low, but they're not too bad. We'll keep going. They might keep increasing as we go through the lap. Oh, went way wide there. Oh my, okay. One thing I noticed on Freedolf's lap is he has the steering angle absolutely cranked through that last corner, so might be something I try next lap. Definitely do way better there. So much grass through left corner. Very interesting. In his lap, he had almost all four wheels off the track using that grass there to the left. It was absolutely crazy. We'll work our way up to that. But right now, the goal is just to get clean, consistent laps and just work our pace up a little bit. Car feels this time a little bit better, although that curb, oh my goodness. Okay, so it's definitely light through Club Corner, which is okay. We can work on that. Feels planted at high speed. Just low speed, it's a little bit slidey. Okay, because there's not too many low speed corners on this track. Also, another thing to note is the temperature is kind of down with this overcast session. Had the steering wheel cranked kind of like this. Why? Although there's still sliding out. One thing I can do right now that I will do is I'm going to increase my traction control. He had it only on 3. I usually like to run it around 5. Okay, a little bit better that time through turn 1. First lap was a 1.3. That's not a bad lap at all. A lot of speed. Very important to get a good exit onto the Wellington. Or not the Wellington, this is the Hangar Straight. Found 4/10 so far on this lap, so we are making some nice improvements. Felt pretty good through there. Now this is really the problem spot for me right now is Club Corner. Traction control actually did help out a lot there. Yeah, look at that, we found half a second just through that one corner. Or section, rather. I don't know if I like first through there. I might try second next lap. Lost a bit of time. It's okay. There's a lot of time to be found here in Love Field. Much better exit there. Although the entry wasn't really that great. 0.4. Oh, that's a really good turn one. Tops. Beckett's. There's that grassy edges I was talking about. All the track you can. It's always a good rule of thumb. Still some more track we can use on the exit of turn 1, so we'll try to do that next lap. Just want to get on the power as early as possible. That is what allows you to extend your exits. You exit a corner and you're safely inbounds on the exit, not even close to the white line. You didn't get on the power early enough. Much better. There. There we go. Much better run through left field that time. I don't really like that strategy he had with the full lock. 0.1, not bad at all. That was a really good turn one. Alright, here we go. Now we're cooking. Getting ourselves up to speed here. We'll probably do just another couple laps here. Just to getting in the rhythm, and then we'll make some adjustments. Although the setup is so good, I'm not going to make a whole lot of them. Maybe wondering why I'm doing laps on a initial run. And that's basically because in ACC it does take probably around 4 or 5 laps for everything to really get up to temperature. It's important because you don't want to set up a car for lap 2 and 3 of a stint when you're doing 20 lap stints and you don't quite know what you're getting into. Right, so it's important you get far into a stint just to really see how everything works. Like, a good example of that is on lap 2. If you scroll back, you will see that my left front was around 26.1 degrees. And I made the comment that it was a little bit cold. But now I look and it's 26.7. You know, it's had time to heat up. It's been used pretty good so far. And now I think differently about that tire. And now I actually probably won't change it. I could get a little bit harder on the brakes through club. Found that time we lost back from last lap through club. Yeah, this corner here I struggle with quite a lot. Mess it up. I always turn in too early there. It's hard to see with the A pillar. Top 10 cockpit cam moments. The way bonnet cam for everything except pit stops. Okay, so I am going to hit at the end of this lap. And I'm not just going to go straight back into the pit lane because this is a prime opportunity to practice pit stops, which is possibly my worst attribute as far as ACC goes. I can never get the entries right. I have a history of speeding in the pit lane and ruining my races. Funnily enough, one of those moments being at this exact track. Speeding in the pit lane and jumping the start has undone me way more times than I would like, and it's a bit silly, because I would have won all of those races with ease if it wasn't for that. So my jump start at Spa from the preseason last season created possibly the greatest comeback in UVR history. That was a pretty good time. Kind of happy I did that one, but the other ones I sometimes I have nightmares about. Wasn't good at all. But overall, this setup is very solid. He's done a good job with this. Out of here. Really. Alright. So we'll pit this lap, and then we'll talk about some changes I might want to make. Take a note of my tires. They're actually in pretty good shape. I don't think I'm actually going to adjust the tires. Good. Box. Pit lane up. What I like to do, camera to bonnet. So I have the manual shutoff on the motor. And absolute best way to get up and down. It's also a very important part of practicing in general. Switch as I go up, and look at that. Straight up, the timer started as soon as the game took over. Sometimes if you miss the box, the game will shift you around quite a lot, and it'll actually cost you to 3 or 4 seconds, which in a league race is quite a lot of time. 5/10 faster than the guy in front of you. You just lost 8 laps of progress, so it's sure. Minute 0.0 on race pace. Bad at all. I think that's actually beaten my best around this track. This car really is. Tires, I'm quite happy with the tires. At the start, they were a little bit cold, but they warmed up quite nicely. So I'm actually okay with it, really. I don't really have any interest in changing the toe or the camber. Electronics, I adjusted 5. The ABS felt okay, but I wasn't really having to slam the brakes that hard. on my race run, I might start trying to brake harder into club corner, which is the one corner I was with. If I notice kind of any of locking up, I will definitely increase. ECU map, always just leave that on 1. I don't need it. When I used to run this car, when I won my championship with this, I ran usually on TC2. I don't back then, but now I'm fine without it. Fuel strategy, I was running 50 liters. It's a little bit less fuel than a 30-minute race stint. I'd usually start with around 60. Something to make sure I get closer to 40 minutes. Ideally, you want to run 40 minutes, just that option. Run late, and then uppercuts are quite good in this. Front brakes, I leave them on 1. There's no reason to wet. They say, oh, a mechanical grip. This is actually quite a stiff setup. Bar, not like, but there's so much downforce on this car, actually quite well. I'm quite happy with the balance, but if I was oversteering quite a lot and I had all this aero on, I would definitely go ahead and soften suspension, which is something I usually end up doing. I also usually end up lowering the anti-roll bar and the preload. But once again, the car feels amazing, so I was actually kind of hoping for this video the car that tells you you gotta go get this guy Friedhoff setups, man. He's good at what he Braun of ACC setups. Dampers, kind of adjust these like you would adjust. Soften the dampers at the rear, front if you're understeering. That and aero. So we got 12 rear wing, we got 3 front wing, or splitter rather. This isn't a formula car. A very important number that I think a lot of people ignore and maybe don't understand is that percentage on the bottom right. So what that's telling you is how the dynamics are split around a car. So 8.9, that there is more aero on the front of the car. So the aero is pushing the front of the car down a lot more than the rear of the car. That allows for better rotation. Whereas, let's say, for most cars, for most of these mid-engine cars, around 9% is a good amount for the high-speed. Ever wanted to adjust this, like let's say I wanted more force towards the rear of the car, have a little bit more, or can increase ride heights, pushing that air, and you're getting just a little bit more rotation on that front. That is 73 because I'm happy with it. Just gonna go out, and we're just usually at this point, when I set up changes, this is where I'd go out and just do a race run, but really just to make sure it. And this is kind of the part of the session where you just keep doing. Go back out here. We'll just make sure. Hop into the setup out. It'll make sure your tires are warm. A little bit more fuel in the car this time. Experimentation. That's not good. Yeah. Set of tires here too. Another thing to note is your fuel consumption. After a practice session, you would usually want to go ahead and do the calculations for how much fuel you'd want to put in the car and how much you would need at the stop. And for tires, usually just want to make sure in the pit stop menu that you have a different tire selected for the pit stop. And you usually don't have to worry about tire wear in these races. Tires last a long time, definitely a lot longer than 30 or 40 minutes. So that's not something you should be, unless you're in a rider. It definitely would be, but story. Right now, just getting this car warmed up again. It's always good to practice on cold tires too, because the car does handle differently, and you want to be absolutely sure of what you have behind you when starting a race. Oh my goodness, whoa! And that's why you practice, ladies and gentlemen. That grass there on the inside a little bit too hard. So we'll make sure not to do that again. See, I do make mistakes. Fun fact. I'm not a perfect driver. Okay. Oh man. I gotta back it down here a little bit, back it down. Pull these tires off a little bit. Funny. Definitely want to start using this brake pedal a little bit more, especially through this corner. Oh yeah, much better. Okay. I think that's probably another 10th right there, if I can get that right. Tires got hot from that spin, so I'm kind of struggling a little bit right now. That rear left is definitely still quite warm. Alright, let's give it another go here. Oh, and that is wide. So you're starting to push the car now, and it's starting to kind of rear its head a little bit here. Problem, I mean, this is what practice is for. It's really trying to find the limit of the car. Mistakes now, so that you don't make a race. Down right now. Just watch that relative. You'll realize we just found 4/10 by braking that much later into club corner, which is absolutely great news. That's really what you love to see. And we just got to tie it into a good lap here. Field. Hopefully we can get some clean laps in here. Zenith 1, still trying to get the braking point right there. Ah, missed the grass there, that's a pretty bad run. Alright. About a 10th down. Try it, keep getting better, that's what practice is all about here. It's okay to make mistakes. Is if you brake too late into that corner, you lose sight of the left-hander with the A-pillar. That's frustrating. Oh my god. This is actually really frustrating. I'll get it eventually. Now it's not quite happening. That was a great club. Finally got a good exit out of that corner. First time all session. We're learning. I'm gonna do one more hot lap and then I'll do an in lap and then we'll work on we'll talk about quali. Oh my god. Yeah. It's definitely a bit tricky if you're pushing hard. I don't think it's enough to really want any major setup change. This thing I might tweak down the line. Still sliding around quite a lot, especially this tire's really fired up. Actually going to try to adjust my TC. That helps. If it doesn't, then that would basically probably a differential change. Maybe change it from 120, which is quite high, probably to a more reasonable number, probably around 80 or 70. It's kind of where I'm losing a lot of time is just the car is sliding out. The differential at the rear is locked. It doesn't allow those tires to rotate as freely. I would hope, so adjustment I can make. Oh my god, dude, yeah, this is turning into a bit of a shit show here. That's what we're gonna do. We are going. Let's return to garage. About the pit lane stuff right now, especially because I'm not even gonna do a race with this. Differentials at 120. I'm going to go out. I'm gonna do like, sure it works. About 2 or 3 laps here, and then we'll go back if we need to. The whole reason why differential is important is that when the differential is locked, it basically kind of forces the both wheels to move around the same speed. Now what that does positively is you get more power a lot faster. The rear tires are more responsive to your throttle input. It's really good to have it locked on tracks like Monza, where there's huge, big acceleration zones. You need to put all the power down immediately. Around Silverstone, you kind of want those tires to free, or to rotate a little bit more freely. Because, tires do naturally rotate at different speeds depending on if you're going through just to allow you just to have more freedom in the corner, not to get that wheel spin. Acceleration, if you're accelerating when the wheel's turned and the wheels are locked, that's going to give you oversteer and wheel spin. Already, I think there's already an improvement there. Give it a whirl this lap. The car's not totally up yet, but it should be good enough to see. This preload is actually done as it has created a little bit of understeer. Quite interesting. However, it has taken that problem away. Notice, turn too well anymore. However, you also notice, I just found all that time back in just Club Corner. So what I'm thinking I've done, I've actually moved it too far and now I'm having the opposite problem. Actually gonna go back to basically the middle of where we had it. Lap here to confirm my decision. If you're ever in doubt of making a setup decision, just keep driving. Just keep thinking about it, you know. When you're practicing for a league race, you're not under much of a time constraint. The only thing for me is I only have an hour here before the recording cuts off. And I'm not editing this video, so this is where we're at right now. Up here. Let's just see. The tire's a little bit warmer. Bad turn one. That was my fault. Let's ignore that 2/10. Way too early. Okay, that's alright. Go and let's just put that back to the middle, and I think. Then we moved it to 70. Let's try 100. I think 100 will be okay. Up to 6. Yeah. Okay. So now what we're gonna do, we have 15 minutes here before to go over qualifying. Basically, you know, so what I do for qualifying, is our session's 15 minutes, right? Each lap around here is about 2 minutes. So with the out lap included, you'll get 8 laps in a qualifying session. Now I prefer to run through quali straight through. I don't go back to the pit lane unless I've had a crash base. What you want to do then is you want to fuel the car for 8 laps. So 8 times 3.2. Grab my calculator. Box I currently have selected. 25.6 laps. Or sorry, 25.6 liters. It's gonna put 27 liters. Probably do a buffer. We'll say 29. This is gonna get you through a whole qualifying session just running lap after lap after lap after lap, full push. And the tires can take that, and often good idea to do it this way because the tires don't become completely optimal, which is half the session. So F1 or go do one out lap and you're gonna be max pace straight away. We're gonna go out and we're going to try to get some good laps here. Okay. Now we'll do a couple laps, nothing crazy. Four or 5 hot laps, and then we'll call it there for our hour trip. So, so this is basically a quali sim, what we're doing right now. When you're qualifying, it's very important you don't abuse the tires. You kind of just slowly want to bring them in. While also, you want to obviously go fast and warm them up, but you also have to worry about gaps and all that. My strategy has always been to go out as soon as I possibly can, just because, I'm faster than everybody else, so it works out. Everyone has their own strategy for that. Tires here. The tire pressures, you'll see that they're definitely not ready for any sort of... Temperatures are ready, but the pressures are really what matters. Just take time to now in a qualifying session, this first proper lap, even though the car's not ready, I'm just gonna put in a banker. Not gonna push too hard. I'm just gonna go ahead and set a time that's within a second of what my PB could be. And that way, if I, mess up throughout the rest of the session, I'll at least have a lap I can for sure fall back on. That can absolutely save you. So this lap, just focusing on completing it, really. It's 100 on the diff feels pretty good so far. There we go. About a second from our personal best, and now this is where you start pushing. Please excuse my silence. Oh, that was bad. I have shifted too early. Some pretty crucial mistakes on that lap. That was pretty encouraging though. Damn. Alright. So now we have an invalidated lap, so there's no point in me pushing here. So I just want to think about what happened on that first lap. First big mistake was the upshift too early right here. That cost probably about 2/10. That hurt quite a lot. And the other big mistake was into F1 Grand Prix turn 1 at the end of the Hamilton straight. What happened there was I overshot it and actually had to go down into 4th gear there, which was not what I wanted to do, and it's not fast. Those are right now the big 2 problem spots, but we'll give it a go next lap. We'll see what we can do, what magic we can make. Like right here I turned in too late and it cost me a lot. It cost me about another 2/10. So there's 4/10, I would say, in that first lap. You just got to get there. The rest of the lap is pretty solid. I'm still not that great at this corner right here. Pull something out of my ass there. Struggles just in the final sector. Auto rotation there. That was interesting. And just the way I braked. Here. Alright, this last lap is gonna be everything I got here. See if we can make something work. Bit yucky, that one. Oh man. Alrighty. That sucks. I feel like there's probably at least a 59. But this was pretty good progress for about an hour. Normally I take probably about 2 or 3 hours per. But yeah. Thank you guys for that. I hope you guys learned something from this. I actually had fun making this just now. If you have any questions about anything, then Dylan 35.